Well, it's time to look back on events in August in the Isle of Man. I've asked my co-host here on MTTV, Mark O'Connor, I should point out, Mark is actually a student at university, and but you do still do some stuff with it, which is great when you're back.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I thought, well, let's get your opinion on what's been going on. And I know you want to start with a certain TV show, which is still, as we're doing this, is going along. A 6-parter, isn't it? I think 4 parts have gone out now. The best little prison in Britain ?
Yeah, of course. It's been a topic of a lot of conversation since ITV released a documentary. And it's a so-called documentary. That's one of the biggest criticisms of it. Obviously, it's a 6-part series, and I think the way it's been made, you've got banjo music at the start with the Bee Gees. It doesn't come across as a documentary, more of a reality TV programme. To some people, it's how it's perceived.
It's an entertainment programme, Mark.
And that's it. And it's I believe it's in between Coronation Street. I believe it's in between to fill that half-an-hour gap. I think a lot of people say, oh, it looks so nice in there. They've got such a great life, and I think if you gave people the option of spending a night in prison or in their own bed, they would obviously choose their own bed. But the key thing, I think, with the prison system as such is that it's about rehabilitation. I believe that a lot of offenders, and all offenders, can be rehabilitated into the community. And the important thing with the Isle of Man prison, I think anyway, and I think it's mentioned in the TV show, is that in the UK, if an offender goes to a prison, there could be any prison, or anywhere in the UK, and they go back to a certain community somewhere else in the UK, here on the Isle of Man, we are one island, it's a small community.
Okay, but let's deal with the programme. Would you have made it? Would you have consented to it? Or is it exactly what you're going to get? You're going to get a little story or two, aren't you? You're making certain people look bigger in the parts because they're the ones consented to be on the programme, and therefore, by the very nature of television, they become the story.
I think that's more of a sensationalist headline to think that somehow all these offenders are becoming stars. I don't really think that's the case. I would have made the documentary, and obviously there's been questions raised in Tynwald. I think Mr. Morehouse, I believe, asked about.
Well, it was only it wasn't in Tynwald because it was just the written questions this time around. He had like 19, I think it was.
Yeah.
Still trying to pin him down about that one to ask him myself about that. But as TV goes, good, bad, indifferent.
At the end of the day, it's TV, and it's showing prisoners being able to be rehabilitated and how they live in life. I think the TV show definitely. I think it is. It's TV at the end of the day, and I think, of course, many questions still are raised about exactly whether it was a good idea or not. I think time will tell.
Now, exam results, that's still pretty close to your heart, I should imagine.
Well, luckily I finished my A-levels last year. That was a very, very stressful time.
A-levels. I mean, what was the outcome this year? Up, down, indifferent? I can't really, what was the headline?
Yeah, so A-level results this year were the first obviously out, then a few weeks later GCSE results were released. Results more or less in line with the national average, I believe. I think A-level results from grades A star to C, I believe, were down by a percentage, but that was also felt in the UK as well. It's also important to remember that on the Isle of Man our exam systems are changing or they have been changing to go to the Cambridge international sort of system. So I took 2 of my A-levels that were Cambridge sort of IA levels essentially, and a few of my GCSEs were IGCSEs as well. So it's a bit different, but the Isle of Man government is moving towards that. Good, but again, obviously results are really important, and it's a very stressful time for students. I know I was there last year. I know I've been at university now for a year.
Watch out, Keele. Yeah, it's Keele, isn't it? And you want to do law, of course. That's interesting. Media and law.
Media and law. Yeah, no, as I say, law's always been quite a big passion of mine, as is media. And a career I could blend the two together would obviously be very beneficial to myself.
We are literally watching you grow up in front of our eyes. You started our first interview about when you were 15 or something, wasn't it?
Oh, a while ago.
Could be even younger, actually. Still with us. That's great. Finally, the proms come back into your little list, I see. I mean, what can you tell us about the prom that we don't already know here? I mean, it's been interesting.
Well,
so far.
It's quite funny with the prom. I mean, everyone seems to become experts in construction engineering. It means there's one crack spotted in the prom. But it's obviously very, very ongoing. At the end of the day, this work is needed to the Isle of Man. It's a key arterial highway on the Isle of Man. Lots of traffic. It's the first thing people see when they get off the boat. At the time of recording this, it's MGP. It's the first thing people see when they get off the prom, really, isn't it, off the boat? It's a really important route. I mean, obviously there was the there was a report earlier that the I don't know what it's called, the walkway counter or the...
I like to call it the Monolith. It looks like it's straight out of 2001. I think other people have used that term since then as well. I mean, it's like Big Brother is counting everyone that goes along.
Well, it is. Yeah, you know, it costs £16,000 to the taxpayers, obviously.
Yeah, that's an interesting figure.
To install that. I don't really know if that's a good use of money.
They're going to move it eventually near the Villa, I think, or something, the Broadway area eventually. But but yeah, you've got to be behind the ideas that the prom had been done and all that sort of thing.
And of course it is. But
just the way it's gone about, is it the information? So everyone keeps saying they're not informed enough, but I mean, I don't know how much more they can now do, because I think they've stepped up their game on that.
The issue is said that it's been that the government, or rather the sort of My Prom DIY sort of side of it, enterprise as well, the communication hasn't been as good as it can be. I think actually though there have been instances where the government have tried. There was the issue, I'm sure as many people are aware, with the cracking on the central bit between also the rail tracks, the sort of orange sort of stuff. There is cracking there, and do you know what, in all fairness to the government, they did come out on, I think it was Twitter, and they did say, we're aware of the issue and moving forward. That's a really good step for the
They came out because I've already been social media about it, but they did respond quicker.
And that's the thing.
I think that's the thing. So before I let you go, just quickly turn tables on you slightly about, how do you feel the Isle of Man, positivity, a young person going off to university, would you want to come back to work here in the Isle of Man, or do you see the sites elsewhere? And what's the general feeling about other people of your year that went away? Do you think they want to come back?
I would say broadly speaking, generally speaking, a lot of young people, when they go to university or leave the island, they don't come back till they're normally like in their 30s. Normally to raise a family. With myself, with the view of going into law as hopefully an advocate on the Isle of Man,
you want to come back?
I want to come back.
But overall, what do you think? Mixed?
I think the Isle of Man obviously wants to increase its population. Obviously, as you hear many times, growing or wants to grow technical, finance,
but they haven't hit their targets, have they?
They've not hit targets, and I think a lot of the problem is that it's very specialised roles that require lots of experience, which obviously young people normally don't have. The Isle of Man is quite a small place, as we're all aware, and I think it's a benefit for young people once they get to like 18, sort of 19, just even to go away for a couple of months, just to see what the other side of the water holds.
Sure, but in your case, you liked doing the theatre work as well, and you got work, didn't you? You got placement and that sort of thing, and you've got great experience probably, and working with us here and that sort of thing.
I've been very, very fortunate in a lot of the opportunities I've had, working in the Villa Gaiety with yourself on the media outlets, and also having some great legal work experience on the Isle of Man, which you wouldn't necessarily get in England, or be very, very difficult to get in England. So in that respect, the Isle of Man is brilliant at providing sort of experience and really good industry knowledge, I think, to a lot of people. But it's the size of it. It's quite small. So I think to spread your wings as such, you need to sort of leave the island, I suppose.